Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 60 of the Clappercast. It is September 15th, 2020. It's been a long couple of weeks, but we're back at you. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Sean. Sean, how's it going today?
Oh, excellent. It's been a while. We've got to shake the rust off here again. It's feeling some off-season blues here, but you gotta keep powering through,
Blues are actually eliminated, Sean, so you can't feel that anymore.
I'm joining them in the off season, okay?
Yeah.
Listen, my cousin's on the team. Just gotta join him for some stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. So it's been, as I mentioned, a couple weeks. We missed the tail end of the second round there, so that's where we're going to start our episode today. Is just kind of recap what happened in those series. We touched on the Tampa Bay Boston series. I think we last episode we kind of said which teams have the best chance at coming back, and neither of us said Boston, and we were right to say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were recording the episode as the final game was ending, so there wasn't a whole lot of hope left there.
They did force OT.
They did.
So
they did come
for
back
a moment, I was like, of course. I said in the episode before that I pegged Boston for one of the best teams at coming back.
Yeah.
And then I was like, they're gonna show how stupid I am by coming back now. And so I was worried for a bit, but Hedman had that weird shot in OT, sealed the deal.
Yeah.
So
alas, Tampa succeeded. And I mean, this is kind of like their one of their criticisms of Tampa Bay is that they just couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And I mean, they dominated Boston for a large part of that series. So they're continuing that trend now into the third round. But to take down Boston is a huge vote of confidence for that team.
Yeah, coming through Columbus was just what they needed, apparently.
Yeah.
They got rid of the bad juju from that sweep and came through. So the team that we actually both pegged for the best chance of coming back was Philly, and they didn't.
They almost did.
Almost, yeah.
But then again, I guess all of the other teams almost did too by that logic.
Yeah, true. Boston was the only one to not force a Game 7. So Philly, any thoughts on why they kind of dropped out?
Listen, I don't think this is as much a knock against Philly as it is praise of the Islanders. That I think Philadelphia did is about as much and as good as they could do, but I think the Islanders had that system that completely dominated and shut down anything the Flyers started.
I mean, that's kind of what we saw in the other couple of rounds with the Islanders, is just shutting it down, playing their game for sure. And Philly had kind of a few guys that were struggling to score, but kind of late in that series, they kind of got it together. Like Claude Giroux was starting to get some points, just couldn't do it enough, I guess.
No, and I mean, even the Islanders' offense, because that's kind of one of their criticisms is that they didn't have much in the way of offensive firepower, but you had guys like Brock Nelson, 8 points in the series, Josh Bailey, 7 points, and even Barzal and Eberle had 6. So they're the guys they needed to be offensive stepped up and put them past the Flyers, and they did well enough at shutting down all of those big names on the Flyers. Like Kevin Hayes led the Flyers in points for that series with 6.
How beat up did Matt Barzal get in that series?
Oh, they were just taking it out
every
on him.
game he had something else happening to him.
Oh, man.
Pretty rough for him.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of sums up those series. I mean, as everyone is well aware now, the matchup in the conference finals in the East is Tampa versus the Islanders. So let's move back west. So we had Vegas versus Vancouver, which I think most people got their predictions on this series as far as how long it would take. Probably wrong.
Yeah, I definitely
Vancouver forced a Game 7, and it was really surprising. But there was kind of the tale of two Vancouvers in this series, where they looked dominant, and then they looked like they weren't even trying out there. They got dominated.
Yeah, that's so true. Like they had those couple of games, like I want to say it was Game 2 and Game 6, that they just completely dominated. Like they scored at will. The Golden Knights couldn't get anything going, and then it was Games 5 and 7, especially Game 7, where Vancouver was just not there. They played terrible, and they got by. They only lasted as long as they did because of Thatcher Demko stepping up big. I mean, it was Game 7 that Vancouver had like 8 shots 45 minutes into the game. Can't do that in a Game 7. Like, that is absolutely terrible.
That's absolutely brutal. So a couple things from the end of that series is that Thatcher Demko what a story for him. He came in, had, was it like 98 out of like 100 shots saved or
it was
something
well
like
over
that?
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, Vegas is putting up 40 shots a game in those last few.
I think it was like the first goalie to make his debut in an elimination game and post a shutout since Jose Theodore in like 1999 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. And then you saw like in the handshakes after the Canucks were eliminated, Mark Stone, just when he was going up to
That
Thatcher
was just an
Demko, it's
amazing
kind of a cool
expression.
moment where he's just that face he made, like like whoa, like you
It's
did,
like, dude,
like what the hell? Like, what? Yeah, we had to throw everything at you to score. So pretty cool for that. Any thoughts on if he should take over the starter job? I know we want to kind of touch on that probably after the playoffs, but from what you saw, do you think he's ready?
I think he will be ready. I don't know. Sometimes with rookie goalies, it's kind of like you get a little flash in the pan where they have like that one little hot stretch, and then otherwise they're kind of average, mediocre area. And Demko isn't a guy with a whole lot of experience, so it's hard to say. I wouldn't put a lot of faith in him coming in next season if he were to be named a starter and to be able to perform like he did, especially not in the playoffs, but even just at an above average level. I think he's probably going to need a little bit more time and a little bit more of a transition into that 1A or transition into the number one position, acting as like a 1A, 1B type thing with another reliable goalie rather than just straight up jump into starter.
Yeah, I think it's a really small sample size to peg the future of your hockey team on. He looks unreal, but it's a guy that coming into this series, Vegas probably didn't have a playbook on them, where to shoot and all that. So we see that all the time when a rookie comes in, they're super hot, and then they've been in the league for a while, and people know their tendencies and where to shoot on them and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it's a bit early to give him the reins.
Looking back to the St. Louis series with Binnington, by the time that Vancouver got to St. Louis, they seemed to have a bit of Binnington's playbook, and they kind of knew where to beat him. It's not going to take long to come up with that type of thing against Demko around the league.
And then the last thing that I want to mention about this series is, can Vegas play in a Game 7 without taking a major penalty?
No. Vegas in Game 7 major penalties. Name a better duo.
Yeah. 1 for 2 for killing it off, but holy shit, like, stop giving the team a lifeline into getting to that series. Like, they're so lucky that Vancouver did fucking nothing on that power play.
Yeah, right.
Like that was the key for Vancouver there. Like once they didn't score on that, you just knew.
Yeah. They weren't there that game. They weren't going to get anything going. No,
if you miss a 5-on-4 for 5 minutes, you don't get anything going. How many shots did they have on that? Like 2?
If that. Like, it took them ages to even get one, if they even had a decent shot in the whole time. Like, that's the thing. Like, sure, you don't necessarily have to score. It can't always just be like go in and score, but you got to get some good chances. You got to get some momentum going. They didn't do any of that. And it just shows how hard it is to score in the league, even if you've got the man advantage. And I think that it shows, it kind of strengthens the argument of Sharks fans about the 5-on-4 5-minute major penalty that they scored 4 goals on against the Knights in their own Game 7 last year. Yeah, it's kind of a shitty call, but it's not like a for sure thing that you're going to score on a 5-on-4 for 5 minutes. No, you still have to play well enough to do it. The thing is, like, the Sharks have those high-powered weapons that just they were able to capitalize really quick, and Vancouver's got those weapons, but they couldn't get it going. So it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas did a good enough job this year at shutting them down. They learned their lesson last year.
So, I mean, it's an impressive run for the Canucks, though. No one expected them to make it that far, and to push Vegas to 7 games with the roster that they have is super impressive. So I think they've got a bright future, but, the work's not done. They've got to keep working on the team and improving. And
they're gonna have some difficulty here because we've just found out that they're going to be willing to be spend to the cap team, but they've got a lot of tricky contracts to try and deal around as they're filling out the roster here. So that's going to be fun for them to try and put together a better team and try and find the pieces that they need.
Yeah, I think we might see them move on from people like Jake Virtanen. The name and all the rumors is they're trying to move Brandon Sutter. I think they've been trying to move Brandon Sutter since the beginning of last season. Someone's going to have to move, or they're not going to be able to bring in somebody else. I'm eagerly anticipating what happens there. I hope they can become a better team.
Pacific's going to be fun to watch right away. That's all I can say.
Yeah. The last matchup in the second round, which was the series of the playoffs. If you missed this one, watch a lot of replays because it was a barn burner. It was Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche.
This was just so much fun hockey to watch. It was just so fast-paced, tons of action, tons of offense, just a good series all around.
Yeah, it was really fun. I actually switched my pick. I picked Dallas to win the cup, and then I picked Colorado to win the round, and Dallas pleasantly surprised me and just exploded offensively in this round and took it away. But it was super fun. The Cale Makar and Miro Heiskanen show, um, you know, obviously with Nathan McKinnon as well in there. But man, this was such a series to watch. It was kind of like that Dallas and Blues series last year, where Dallas pushed them to Game 7 double OT. It was very reminiscent of that, where it was two strong teams. And I know you were pulling for the Colorado Avalanche. So so what are your thoughts on what happened
honestly,
to them?
I'm still going to be salty about it just because of the injury troubles that the Avalanche dealt with through the series. I mean, losing Grubauer so early on, losing Eric Johnson really hurt their chances. That Francouz is okay. He did great in the regular season, but he didn't have what it took to succeed in the playoffs and to match up against Dallas. And even, I mean, they're down to their third stringer for half the series with Michael Hutchinson too. Guy did all right. Like he held his own in a series in a situation that was well above kind of where he's used to playing. But I feel like that would have been a completely different series if they had Grubauer for the whole thing, if they had Eric Johnson, if they had Landeskog in Game 7. Stuff like that really hurt the Avalanche and gave the Stars a bit of an advantage. And I mean, not to downplay what Dallas did, because like their offense, they played great. Like they held the Avs back. They were able to score. Like Jamie Benn had 9 points in that series. That's kind of a great kind of comeback for him based off of the last season or two where he struggled. And they've got contributions coming up from depth guys like Gurianov still playing well, Rupe Hintz and Radek Faksa had good series. And then in Game 7 you've got that Yoel Kiviranta just came out of nowhere. Like that was just such a good game, good performance, and just great story for Dallas. So props to them.
Yoel Kiviranta came in Game 7 to fill in for Andrew Cogliano, who wasn't playing, and got a hat trick. Game winner. Series winner. Unbelievable dish by Sekera from behind the net.
It's a good thing Sekera didn't shoot it, because he's really bad for just kind of throwing it into some guy's shin pads. When he was in Edmonton, his nickname was the Shin Pad Assassin. He's behind the net
so. Somehow. Yeah, I know. Kevin Bieksa had the comment of Sekera and Gretzky, the two deadliest players from behind the net.
Good company to be in for Andre.
Nice dish from him. Yeah, but I mean, this just proves my point that Dallas should only ever draft or sign Finnish players, because they just show up for Dallas. They're insane.
I mean, good environment, good dressing room for them to come in and fit in well. So
I guess the only thing about that is Honka's kind of a one-off. He's excluded from that. I think he's Finnish, right?
Probably. I think so.
Yes, he is. Can confirm. Maybe he'll come back now that there's all these Finns. But I think Heiskanen's probably their number one Finland guy.
Yeah, Heiskanen, oh my God. It's so amazing just to watch that guy play. He's so good.
He just, like, they need the ISO cam on him all game, just so you can watch his skating ability, because, like, and I'm serious, I'm getting a jersey, because just watching him is just, it's so awesome. He's all over the ice. He jumps into the play. He leaves like a center on a breakout, and then skates into the offensive blue line, and then if Dallas loses it and they go back, he's like the second guy back with his smooth skating.
He's one of those guys that just makes it look effortless. Like some guys, like when they have to look like they're trying as hard as they possibly can to skate, and then you've got guys like Heiskanen who just float around and it looks like they're just chilling. They're just not even trying, and they're just skating faster than everybody and better than everybody.
Yeah, and I know I've mentioned it before, but you saw it from his very first shift in the NHL, where he just looked so composed and poised and such a smooth skater, and he just makes it look so easy or so right on that. He just goes up and down the ice just so effortlessly, and it seems like he's out there all the time. Like last year, we constantly heard Rupe Hintz. It seemed like he was out there all the time. And this year, it's just Heiskanen's out there basically
pretty
the whole
soon,
game.
He's just going to be out there the whole game. And like the first pairing is going to be Miro Heiskanen, and then second pairing is going to be Heiskanen with a mustache, and then the third pairing is going to be Heiskanen or something with another mustache. It's like it's going to be him all three pairings all game.
Exactly. I don't think he's even able to grow a mustache, so
It'll be a
it'll have
fake
to be a
mustache.
fake one. He was just a dominant force defensively and offensively. There was that stat at one point where you sent me. It was something about Klingberg and Heiskanen. Do you remember that stat?
Yes, I don't remember what it was though.
It was something to the effect of Klingberg or Heiskanen were out there for something like 80%
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah.
Dallas's goals or something.
Yeah, it was basically if Dallas scored a goal, they were on the ice for it. Was more or less it. There was only a handful of goals that they weren't on the ice for, which I mean,
They're just like Corsi gods.
yeah, in some situations, I mean, teams get criticized for that when like Edmonton has Connor McDavid out there for 75% of their goals, they get criticized, but you've got Heiskanen and Klingberg out there for most of Dallas's goals, and it's a testament to how good they are.
I think it probably makes a difference what position they play.
True.
Because defensemen, they can generate offense, but they just do it differently than forwards. Whereas, Connor McDavid, if he's out there for 75% of the score or goals, it means he's either out there on the power play or his line. Whereas D-men play with, a variety of forwards out there.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is kind of one of those like, this is bad
Yeah.
on Edmonton, but this is really good on Dallas. So it's kind of one of those. The stat is the same, but it's interpreted a different way.
Yep.
Kind of the danger of stats, right?
The context.
Yeah, it just shows how important to their team they are. And Heiskanen is looking like a Norris winner, a future Norris winner.
They're gonna have to like re-vote for the Norris this year.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, McKinnon was kind of the same thing for Colorado, right? Like he had that insane point streak that was getting up there on Gretzky, and then he didn't get a point in the final game of the series, and they lost. That was like the only game all playoffs he didn't get a point, and his team lost.
Yeah, I mean, his importance to that team, like he had 12 points in 7 games that series. So, he was there, he was contributing a lot, but the one game he couldn't get it.
Dallas they have all these swings of goals. We saw that a lot in that series where they'd get multiple goals straight, just come back from a lead or from being down, and then they jump ahead.
They were doing that.
It was fun to watch.
Score 4 goals in a minute.
Just the crazy swings in that game were very exciting to watch. So I guess that kind of brings us to the third round here, to the conference finals. So in the West we have Vegas and Dallas, and that series is at 3-1 for Dallas, which is again kind of surprising. I'm okay with it, but yeah, definitely with how deep Vegas is, I would have expected a bit. I would have expected a 2-2 or.
Yeah, I'm surprised
tonight.
I'm surprised as well that Dallas has been able to come away with it as quickly as they have. Like they kind of took over right away, really early on, and I mean, we looked a little bit into this before we started as to what's going on with Vegas, because this is dating back to the second round as well, where in their last 7 games, they've only been able to score 10 goals compared to like the 44 goals they had in the first 12 games of the playoffs. So Vegas, for some reason, their offense is just completely dried up. They don't have the ability to generate high quality scoring chances right now, and they're taking a lot of their shots from the perimeter, from the points, and even out of the zone. They're not getting very high percentage of their shots from down low, which, I mean, it makes Anton Khudobin's job pretty easy, but it's not doing any good for Vegas trying to score. And that's where they're struggling right now against Dallas, where they're losing 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 in overtime. That's a couple more shots down low, a couple more shots from the slot, and suddenly they can change the tide of that game. But instead, they're taking all their shots from the perimeter, so many of their shots from the perimeter, and low percentage shots. We had this pointed out to us on Instagram by Side of Ranch podcast, where they're taking low percentage shots. They have that same play where they have a forward skate in, drop it to the defenseman for a shot. You figure that out eventually, and it's not a difficult one to stop when you know what's coming.
Yeah, it's almost like Vegas is pulling a regular season Dallas here, where they just lost the scoring touch. I mean, that's not a very in-depth opinion of what's going on with them, but Dallas has done that throughout the regular season, where they look like this, where they're really hot and they score a lot of goals and win a lot of games, and then they go stretches where they score maybe 2 goals in like 5 games. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, those shots from the outside are good for getting the shot totals up, but you're really just keeping Khudobin in the game at that point, and he's seeing it like his eyes on the puck, and he's seeing it really well right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned keeping the shot totals up, which they're doing great at because Vegas is averaging like 37 shots a game over that stretch compared to in the low 20s per game. They're out shooting their opponent massively. They're on paper dominating the game. And even watching it sometimes, they have control of the puck and control of the play for a lot of it. But they're not doing anything with that. And even then, like with those low percentage shots from the point, what you want to be doing is trying to find a way to get it blocked or rebound out front so that you can have someone take the high quality shot right after. But they're clearly not getting that done.
Yeah, and I would say that they are getting that traffic in front of Robin Leonard. They're making it hard for him to see the puck. They're getting garbage goals. They've got some experts on the team at that. They've got Corey Perry. They've got Joe Pavelski.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Pavelski is the key for this one right now because he's only got 2 points in 4 games for this series so far, but having his presence on the ice and in front of the net and in down low behind the net is huge for just keeping the offense going and generating some chances for momentum.
Plus, if it goes to Game 7, you can always get hit again and draw a 5-minute major, and then we'll really see how good Vegas is at the PK.
Attempt number 2. I mean, if it's Game 7, like that has to happen, right?
Getting back to what things that Dallas, I think, is doing well. I think they're picking on Vegas's D-men. They're really making it hard for Braden McNabb specifically, I think. They're really a Pavelski goal in the last game where he kind of like chipped it almost over Robin Leonard.
Yeah, it was just like a little bloop shot.
But they've got their forecheck working really hard, and I think it's taking the toll on the Vegas's D-men because they're not always making those clean exits of the zone where Dallas is getting to them fast before they can make that first pass out of the zone. And then you saw McNabb get hit on that hard, and then Schmidt tries to skate it like almost in front of the slot, and Pavelski just grabs it from him and then scores. And he's got like a clear shot to the net because nobody is expecting that move where Schmidt's going one way and then Pavs goes the other way with nobody in between him and the net. So there's just been a few situations like that where Dallas is really, pushing their defensemen and forcing them to make some mistakes.
Yeah, and I think you've also got the...
It's kind of one of the secrets to their game.
You've got the mind games happening too where, Vancouver, one of the things that Vegas did early on to get Vancouver out of the series was they sent Ryan Reeves out to go stir some shit up. And you haven't heard him being able to do much of that, which is kind of surprising with someone like Corey Perry on the other team, that there hasn't been much of that type of game going on. And you see, in particular, Jonathan Marchessault has been kind of pissy on the ice lately, where he's kind of just you can see some of those like emotions being sent out in kind of unproductive ways on the ice, and it's hard on the team when that happens too to some players.
Well, I guess Ryan Reeves was out for Game 1. He was still suspended. Vegas just went up 1-0 here in Game 5. Reeves was suspended for Game 1, and then we've seen his ice time very limited.
Yeah.
Because he, as much as some of the commentators like to point out how much of an impact he has on the game, he does not play when Vegas is down.
No, he does not get
he just doesn't
trusted
get ice
with
time.
that. No, he's kind of like send him out at kind of near the beginning when things are still not set in stone for the game.
Yeah, he's a set the tone kind of guy.
Yeah, that's
get the physicality and the energy up. But when you need goals, it's you got to ride Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, William Karlsson, Riley Smith, Paul Stastny, those kind of guys. Tuck, all them. And then also, I guess, of note for this has been, it's been a physical series. There's been a lot of chippiness where we've seen, I think it was Tuck, 2 games in a row with some pretty dirty plays where he slew-footed Sagan behind the net. That one was pretty egregious. I thought that was pretty bad, where they were kind of in a bit of a scrum after the net, doing some face washes and stuff, and then he just clearly slew-foots him to take him down. And then he it was his hit on Corey Perry, I think. Yeah, it was it was the blindside interference. That's what it was. Yeah, where I can't believe there was no call on that, even though it's Corey Perry. I mean, he's a saint. Just bless him. Saint Perry, but Perry was coming around the net, and then Tuck it's like he had the puck and he lined him up. Like, he just lowered into him.
I didn't see much malicious intent behind it, but it's like that was completely out of the play. Like, I don't know why it wasn't interference.
If Perry had the puck, it would be like a nothing play. It was just a nice hit, but he doesn't. And he's coming around the net looking a completely different way, and then he just gets blindsided and smoked. That one was pretty bad too. I think the slew foot's probably worse just because it's a slew foot and really dirty. And, maybe on the interference he was looking a different way and then quickly cut back and didn't mean anything. But it's Corey Perry, so, probably intentional. But it's been rough. I mean, even though Ryan Reeves has had limited ice time, he's still being sent out there for hits. I mean, he's got 87 hits right now in the playoffs. Sportsnet just has a graphic up right now. That's second in the Stanley Cup playoffs to Matt Martin, who's at 96. So he's up there. Even with like 5 minutes a night, he's getting a lot of hits. But where do you see this series going?
I think Dallas is going to take it right away. If they don't win tonight, they'll probably take it in Game 6. I don't know if Vegas, like, after 7 games, are they really going to be able to turn their offense around in a span of 1 game here? Because they're on the ropes now. That they need to get that figured out right now, or else they're done. And I don't know if they've got the energy left to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dallas takes it as well. It looks like they're just operating on all cylinders, and it's tough to beat a team that's playing like that.
For sure.
I want them to win the cup. They're my pick, and I'm not saying that they will. You can kind of see when a team's like on a mission, and when they're totally invested in it, and Dallas looks like they are right now.
And you know what, too? The other thing with Dallas's roster right now is that they have a goalie who's dialed in. I worry about Anton Khudobin's fatigue level based on how much he's playing in such a short period of time. But Khudobin is dialed in right now, and he is the type of hot goalie that a team needs to win the cup. That when they get someone playing like he is, that's a good sign that the team is, like you said, firing on all cylinders. He's dialed in. They've got everything going right, and it's theirs to lose.
Yeah, the only thing that's like a sour point for them is they've got a couple guys out, and then Tyler Seguin isn't producing, but there's rumors that he's hurt and dealing with like a wrist injury. I think they've got depth guys chipping in when they need to, so even though one of their stars is not playing as well as they are paid to, it's not really an issue for the team. He's still making impacts not on the score sheet.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the other important things with their roster right now is that they have other guys who are taking some of the production or some of the weight off of his shoulders. When they have, even from the back end, like Klingberg and Heiskanen taking a lot of the driving the offense, and they have Pavelski and Pavelski, Radulov, Rupe Hintz, like they've been helping with the offense. They haven't done a whole lot in this series so far, but it's also been a really low scoring series, so there isn't a whole lot of offense to go around. It's mostly you got to look at what's driving it, where the chances are coming from.
Okay, well maybe let's move on here to the other conference finals, where we've got Tampa Bay and the New York Islanders. Islanders are on the ropes here too.
Yeah, which is it's kind of surprising to me to see them, based off how dominant they had been in the playoffs up until now. It's kind of surprising to see such a quick changeover from them being in control of the play all the time to just completely submissing to Tampa Bay. And I mean, we saw it right from the beginning when they lost 8-2 in Game 1. Like that set the tone for the series. Like that took all of the air out of the Islanders' tires. Like they just got slashed all 4 tires.
Yeah, they just got shit canned in that first game, and they haven't been able to come back really.
They had that one when they won 5-3 in Game 3, but I mean, lose 8-2, 2-1, 4-1. Like, yeah, that's kind of hard to come back from that type of stuff.
I mean, both of these series are at 3-1, so it's been kind of weird that every round has been very similar.
A lot of the series are playing out the same.
Mm-hmm.
Should we break out the tinfoil hats now?
I think Tampa takes him out. Yeah. I think Tampa takes him out game 5.
I want to say the Islanders might kind of pull out one more game.
It's just Tampa looks strong.
I want to say maybe the Islanders win in like OT in Game 5. It's kind of a close game, but I think Tampa takes them out in Game 6.
It's just squeak one out. I think Tampa looks just so deep. Like the acquisitions that they've made have been so on point.
Yeah, that address their main
Blake
needs.
Coleman has been, Bogosian, Coleman, Barclay Goodrow. They've just been really good for them. Yeah, they've really stepped up. It's I mean, not that their top performers aren't competing and performing, but it's just given them that extra bump.
Well, it helps take some of the pressure off And it kind of, I mean, especially with the physical side of it, that when you have Patrick Maroon, Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow, Zach Bogosian, like bigger guys who can hit, you kind of take a little bit of the pressure off of your star players to have to do that as well. And then it's also that idea of like the protection where you won't be able to take as many liberties on the good players when you have someone to answer to.
But yeah, Tampa just looks like such a deep team. They look so scary, and then they've missed Braden Point a couple games and like no issue. Kucherov is just a man on fire.
Do we need to start worrying about Kucherov doing his little pissy pouting act that he's done in the playoffs the last couple of years after that slash he had on Pajot at the end of one of the games there?
Yeah.
Does he have it in control this year, or is he going to start kind of taking it out?
I don't know. We're seeing it, a little bit of it. I think if they make it to the finals, it's a very real possibility that he could become very emotional and freak out, which is weird because he's always such a, like, his demeanor is so calm, and
it's literally just when his team starts losing in the playoffs, he gets emotional on the ice and he takes it out on the other team, and it's dirty. Like 2 years in a row, he had some dirty hits and gets suspended last year, and then that slash on Pajot, like it's just a two-handed whack. Like that wasn't just like that wasn't a hockey
goal.
Slash. Yeah, right. Like just like something.
Game's over.
Some sort of ego hit.
Don't fuck up my plus minus. It's really weird, very strange. But like he's making it happen. I don't know how many points he's got, but
9 points in 4 games in this series so far.
Yeah, not bad, eh?
Yeah, right. So
Stamkos,
he's making it happen. Like Braden Point, they need Braden Point to stay. Like he's kind of really come into his own in these playoffs. Then he's really stepped into the void left by Stamkos, who, by the way, I saw earlier today that Stamkos, I believe, is practicing, or he was on the ice.
Ooh.
So I don't know if that means they're just getting him conditioned or if he's actually going to set up to make a return to the team. But that would be a huge insert for them if they could get him back, even just on the bench.
Is he in Edmonton?
I think so.
I know he had left Toronto at one point.
Yeah, so he's probably...
That would be huge for them, though, if they could get their captain back. Not that they've looked like they've missed anything. Yeah, skates with team.
Yeah, so he's there. He's on the ice with them. So that's a huge bring back for them to have their captain coming back for some of the biggest games they've played.
Yeah, and then if they do eventually win the cup, it'll be nice to have played in a round at least.
Yeah,
as the captain, and someone who's been there since like the days that they weren't amazing. Yeah, so I think Tampa pulls out that series, and yeah, I think it's going to be a Tampa-Dallas.
Such a weird matchup for
lightning
a potential
and
final.
stars. Yeah.
For some reason, like just that matchup, just screams like NHL 1999 is like the default teams. I don't know why, but it's just something around like one of those NHL years. Just for some reason, those teams fit in.
Yeah, it'd be like Brett Hull and Vinny LeCavalier.
Something back. Oh man, throwback.
Yeah, could they wear their retro jerseys? That'd be sweet.
Oh yeah, I miss those old ones.
Yeah, I mean. That'll be a pretty interesting series. I mean, none of these are over yet, so we'll see what happens. No. But it's looking like that's gonna be it. And I don't think either of these teams that are down 3-1 will come back.
I don't think there's enough. I don't think either of them have enough momentum or energy left to make that much of a swing in the series. It'll take a lot of teamwork to bring them back.
Yeah, so last round we thought Philly would do it, and this round we think nobody will do it. So what ended up happening was no teams came back last round, so obviously this time they'll both come back because
probably that's the way it works. as soon as you're kind of like, oh well, it didn't happen last time, so we'll just kind of go with this time. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
We'll see what happens in the rest of these rounds. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens and having a finals.
Listen, we've got some good hockey here, and it's like it's been fun to watch, and this is actually pretty high quality action that they've kind of dialed into playoff hockey really quick here. And I mean, Vegas has been a pretty physical series, like we talked about. It's been playoff hockey, and even like Tampa Bay and the Islanders have had some physical rivalries going, and it's been good to watch. So
I mean, everyone had their kind of doubts about the intensity level would be there, but it's really fun to watch. There's something missing because of the lack of fans, and
honestly I don't even mind that. I honestly don't mind the lack of fans in the arena because I don't have to deal with the idiot who has to stand up and block the play whenever the puck's in the one zone. You don't have to deal with people yelling shoot from the stands.
Horn guy.
Yeah, it's so
horn or
much
drum
better
guy.
to watch.
I miss the fans as much as I hate like stuff like that. It's just it gives it more personality, and each game is a little different. And you've got like the people behind the bench like doing stupid shit, and you've got like people by the penalty box, and just cheering and booing. That's not an audio file.
The crowd noise being pumped in is awkward as hell, so I do prefer that noise coming from actual people. But
yeah, and then just like when a call is or isn't made, and people give the refs grief, it's like, yeah, you might not like it if it's like against your team or whatever, but it's just like there is that part that's missing, and it's a little less organic and whatever. It's still amazing hockey, and I love it, but it just feels like you're kind of watching one of those like 3v3 NHL games. How
that's exactly it. The
different.
arena setup they have right now, it looks like the threes mode in the NHL video games.
Yeah, with the big banners over the
Yeah.
seats and stuff. Yeah.
All they need is just more like
Yeah.
orange and flashing lights, and the in-game announcer, like the early 2000s skater bro announcing it.
Exactly. Yeah, so right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to go over in this episode?
No, I think that about wraps things up for this week here on Clappercast. So make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to our show on any podcast platform. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. To keep up to date with our latest content, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Clappercast Media, or on Twitter at Clappercast. Start the conversation on our post there and let us know which team is surprising you so far in these playoffs. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back soon with more NHL playoff coverage.